2030 will not change very much drastically for 2050, whereas the global graph you can see is there is a much more depletion of blast furnace. Next slide, please. The major market constraints for green steel approach is mainly the iron ore quality, the high grade is depleting. Second is, that is mainly for the DRI plants and all, and of course the efficiency of the plants. The scrap availability, good quality scrap availability is of course in a limitation, and above that there are trade barriers. Third is the green energy, that is the renewable energy. Renewable energy capacity, I don't think so it is a problem, but yeah, the, the continuous availability, uninterrupted availability what the steel plant requires, that is the storage is of course not that much advanced or economically viable. Fourth is the speed of the transition is maybe because of the maturity of the technologies and fundings, the policies, so many things is another constraint. So next please. So based on these factors, we have developed three major technologies. First one is based on the existing blast furnace technology, how we can, stage-wise improve the or decarbonize the blast furnace. As a first step is the blue blast furnace, and second is the easy melt towards net zero. Second is how we can replace the blast furnace with DRI OBF technology without disturbing the upstream and the downstream processes. And third is the hydrogen-based DRI EF process. Next slide, please. Click once more. Once again, please. Yeah. No, go back. So let me start with the DRI EF process, that is the hydrogen-based. Next slide, please. Which we are doing in the implement. It is the advantage of this site. Midrex is giving the DRI plant, and rest of the plant EF till the steel mills is by SMS. It is a 5 million ton plant and will be built in 2 phases. And currently we are constructing 2.5 million ton. Next slide, please. Next. One more click. Yeah. So this technology is currently not very much relevant to the Indian industry, but yeah, in Europe where they are, completely trying to eliminate the blast furnace, for that kind of scenario, this is the best solution. We are implementing this technology for ThyssenKrupp in Duisburg. And the beauty of this project is we are, next slide please, can you click? So this is again 2.5 million ton capacity plant, and we will be commissioning it by 2027. Next please. The beauty of this project is we are not touching the raw material side or the, the downstream from the slag granulation till the product cycle. We are not touching. We are only replacing the blast furnace with one DRI. And this is the flexi DRI because ThyssenKrupp will be using the, natural gas. And then slowly, depending on the availability of the hydrogen, they will switch over to hydrogen. So this is a flexi DRI by Midrex, and it is coupled by 2 sets of OBF, that is open bath furnace, very much similar to the shaft furnaces. And the quality of slag is absolutely similar to blast furnace. So this is another plant we are, in the process of making towards net zero. Next slide, please. Yeah. The third and the most important, which is very relevant to the Indian industry, is the blast furnace, how we can stage-wise decarbonize. First is a blue blast furnace. Next slide, please. Yeah. So how we can inject the available coke-oven gas, hydrogen, syngas to the blast furnace to reduce, the CO2 emission, and most importantly, how we can, the most impact is on the OPEX saving. So syngas here what is okay, whoever has syngas can be used, but otherwise we can generate the syngas in-house from the coke oven and blast furnace gas. So that is the, merit of this process. And second is a little bit modification in the tower and the shaft level, which with minimum downtime of the plant, and sometimes you can plan it with very low capex process. So this is another remarkable development for the Indian industry. Next slide, please. The second phase of the blast furnace is the easy melt technology, which we have signed with Tata. So basically here the blast of the furnace is not there. We are replacing the blast with the plasma torch, and it will be completely on the syngas or hydrogen. Yeah. So this is without carbon capture and without renewable energy. We can save, we can remove more than 60% of the CO2 emission, and this is also a very effective process as far as OPEX and CAPEX is concerned. And with renewable energy and with the carbon capture, we can achieve net zero. Next slide, please. Yeah, I'll take a minute. So this is another, very beautiful software which we have developed. This is called Plant Assessment Tool. So we can, assess the existing plant, their process, and based on the raw material, the utility, and the prices, what they are getting, all these things, we can, give a blueprint of this, of the plant on what process you should adopt for the decarbonization. We can, evaluate what is the CO2 emission you will get. We can give you the OPEX. We can, next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is what we can do, a small feasibility through this software, where you can, we can give you the best fit decarbonization solution rather for the plant. We can do the sensitivity analysis, we can do the CAPEX, OPEX analysis, and this is a beautiful software. We can talk detail if somebody is interested on this. Next slide, please. So decarbonization technology, upstream we have seen, downstream we have a lot of, I will not touch upon details on this because of the time constraint. Okay, I will say that there are a lot of things we can do, starting from digitalization. We have a very beautiful digitalization process or technologies we have developed, softwares we have developed. Then there are process efficiency, energy efficiency, how you can achieve, you can switch over the fuel of the burners used in the downstream. And yeah, so this is a very user-friendly, innovations we have done as far as SMAs is concerned. Next slide, please.
Dr. Nivedita, I would request you please.
Thank you so much. So this is my last slide. So decarbonization, as I say, requires collaboration, bold moves across the value chain with the complete stakeholders. So thank you so much for Mecon to give me this opportunity, and thank you everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Nivedita. Now I would request our chair, Dr. Arvind Budhankar, to please summarize the session.
Thank you once again, Mishra Saab, and thank you all the speakers for the fantastic presentation. The whole session was divided into three parts. The first one was the hardcore technology. The second one was monitoring and measurement. And the third one, how can we monetize that? And I think the panelists or the speakers have done justice with that. I don't want to repeat. Sanjit spoke about the wet GCP versus dry GCP. And I'm sure all of us, we talk, steel is required about 25 to 27 gigajoules to produce. I'm sure with his technology, few gigajoules would come down. I'm not sure. I'll later on take with him. Nivedita spoke about blue blast furnace and integration of various measures in the downstream side, how to produce green this thing. And she also spoke about the EAF with green DRI. Then Harsh spoke about his own platform, a fantastic tool. All of us know I have been driving business excellence in the past, and I used to tell people, if you want to improve something, you first need to measure that. And unless you measure it, you will not be able to. So his tool, I'm sure, Sintra World will help us in measuring the emission reductions at various level. And of course, then Paramji talk about, whole the green steel taxonomy. A very good initiative by Government of India, and 35 already they have registered, although they are secondary steel producer, but I will be the first one and the integrated steel plant. So you mentioned that none of them are there, but I would definitely be one of them. So thank you all the panelists. Do we have questions? Yeah. So,
now we may have questions, couple of questions from the audience, and because of the paucity of time, we can have just a couple of questions. Yes, please.
Good morning, sirs and everybody. You all talked about the carbon CO2 content of the steel. In my days, in the year 80s and 90s, I used to work in the steel foundry. The kiln steel, I used to produce electric arc furnace. So we were very much troubled during that period by the phosphorus and sulfur content of the steel. We used to take a lot of labor for removing the phosphorus in the oxidation period and sulfur in the reduction period. Subsequently, for decarbonization, we used to take the metal, entire liquid metal to the vacuum degassing plant. And for removal of the hydrogen, we used to take a long heat treatment cycle, about 72 hours. We used to, so much care we used to take for the steel production, defense production. Bajan tank production we have done in HEC, heavy engineering corporation. It was not exceeding. That is what my expression is.
Thank you,
in
sir.
my dose, I worked like that.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you,
I
sir.
think what you talk about it is that is regarding the quality of the steel, and what we
Yes,
talk
sir.
about the green steel, it is related to the emission. So if we talk about the quality, then we can talk about phosphorus and sulfur.
But what exactly is the definition of the green steel?
Green steel, if you are producing the finished steel with the emission
What is the definition?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, that if you are producing your finished steel with carbon emission of 2.2, less than 2.2 ton CO2 per ton of the finished steel, that will be called as a green steel.
Here we
Anybody?
are confined only about the emission of carbon, no other element. Any other questions from the audience?
Paramjit.
Basically, the manufacturer who is, you can say, purchasing that their renewable power, they are giving the certificate to us. They are purchasing this much power they have used. That we can discuss separately. I'll
I
explain
think,
you what
Mr.
exactly is the
Paramjit, you
yeah.
had shown in one of our slides, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So I think stage 1...
Already spoke, there are 22 agencies which are accredited and they will verify from where your power is coming.
Can I ask one question? Paramjit, I have one question. In fact, two questions to you only. One question is that in absence of any demand from the customer for the green steel certified, what will motivate the steel producer to do that in absence of a green procurement policy? In other words, I am asking when you are going to publish green procurement policy, number one. Number two question, that the fees that you have fixed 95,000 for the verifier, is it irrespective of the size of the production?
Your question is not, I think voice is not clear. Second question.
Second, 95,000 rupees is the verification cost you have fixed.
Yeah.
Is it irrespective of the size of the production?
Yeah, this is irrespective of the size of the plant. The charges is 95,000, irrespective of a plant. First question you asked that regarding that green steel demand. I think Harsh has already talked about it. That in public.
Question is. Let me directly ask you. When are you going to publish the green procurement policy?
That I think that answer can be given by the Ministry of Steel, not by me directly. Thank you.
One last question from Mr. Kumud Ranjan.
This is related not to the green steel, it is related to the technology. Madam, you have shown the blue blast furnace. There you have shown the two level of two-layer rings. Can you explain why it is two layer? Why not with the one? Because if you are considering that coke oven gas, that is having the hydrogen and carbon monoxide, that is also generating in the blast furnace at the single two-layer level. So these two level of 2 years you are considering, what is the advantage as compared to single layer?
Yeah. So when we are injecting syngas, it is in the shaft level. So that is why the two levels are defined. It's mainly because of the reactivity inside the thermal.
Thank you all. Now,
That's what.
yes, Karamir, please.
Good morning, Ananja from Mekong. My question to Prime Metals, that you have shown dry GCP, that is good, but there is a limitation of fine particle separation and gaseous hazard, that is pollutants, compared to wet GCP. So, do you face any problem, or how do you look into it?
The coarse dust particle which is separated at the bottom of the evaporation cooler, it is reused in the sinter plant. And the fine dust which is separated at the ESP, it is used in a bitumen for using the roads and etc. So it is, we have a separate dust silo. There is a chute and it will comes down and the car is come and it will evacuate it. There is a RAV is there, rotary airlock valve. It will start and all the dust is goes into the closed vessel. So it is not hazardous and it is all the dust are reused in the other plant.
Okay.
So thank you all. Now over to Mr. Devasis Bose.
Thank you, sir. It is indeed an informative session on sustainability through reduction in carbon emission and carbon capture, utilization and storage. We are privileged to have with us Dr. Arvind Bodhankar, Chief Sustainability Steel from AMNS. AMNS always remained a pioneer in sustainable steel and reduction in carbon emission and environment-friendly practices. Sir, now I will request you to kindly felicitate our speakers. I will request Mr. Sanjeet Das, Biswas, Senior Manager Technical Sales Environment Technology from Prime Metals Technologies, to receive an award of appreciation. Next is Mr. Harsh Chaudhary, co-founder and CEO from Centra.world. Mr. Paramjit Singh, Director, NISST. Dr. Nivedita Panda from SMS. Thank you, sir. Now I will request Mr. P.K. Dikshit, our ex-director projects from Mekon, to kindly come on stage to felicitate our session chair and moderator. I will request. Okay. Sir, please, moderator also. Thank you, sir. And thank you to our esteemed session chair and moderator for giving their valuable time. And now we will be having a short panel discussion on sustainability. I will request Ms. Rajeshi to kindly continue further. And thank you to eminent speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving forward in this international conference on iron and steel industry, enhancing efficiency and sustainability, we now begin a very insightful session on sustainability, panel discussion. And to moderate this session, we are privileged to have Mr. Paramjit Singh, Director, NISST. We extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished panelists, and they are Shri Prabodh Acharya, Chief Sustainability Officer, JSW Steel Limited, Dr. Arvind Bodhankar, Chief Sustainability Officer, AMNS India, Shri Prateek Ghosh, Head Sustainability and ESG, Jindal Steel Group, and Shri Saurabh Kundu, Chief of Corporate Sustainability. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है इस पैनल बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण विषय के साथ sustainability will be the subject, and we welcome you all on this dais and welcome you all in this second day of this very, very important for us international conference. And now it's up to Mr. Paramjit Singh, Director NISST, to moderate this panel discussion, sir.
Thank you very much. After the first session, I think we have to listen from the big stalwarts from who is heading the sustainability of their plants, actually, from AMNS, GSW, Tata's. So as we know that India is, as on date, is have a capacity of around 200 million tons and producing 152 million tons of production. And the emissions are, as discussed in the morning, is around 2.55 ton CO2 per ton of the crude steel, and which is quite higher. If you look at the world's average, that is around 1.92. And that emissions are high because of the certain constraints, or that you can say availability of the you can say material which is being used by the plant, like coke. We don't have the natural gas. We don't have the other, you can say, facility which other world steel making industries are having. However, we have to, our Ministry of Steel and the government has committed towards the Paris Agreement. We have to achieve, or you can say, reduce our emission around 2.2 ton CO2 per ton of the crude steel before 2030, by 2030. And all the industries are working. There is a, you can say, responsibility of all the players, either it's a bigger player or the smaller player, everyone has to contribute. With this, you can say, concept in the mind, Ministry of Steel has already taken many steps. Green taxonomy is one of the steps towards that green sustainability. But looking into the, you can say, the scenario as on date and the way the expansions are coming, most of the expansions which is being, you can say, planned by the bigger plants, that is coming through the blast furnace route. And if we see, these blast furnace will be, you can say, present in our steel production, I think by 2070, and we have committed about that we will be carbon neutral by 2070. Looking into that, I have certain questions from all of you that how we are going to, you can say, achieve our targets and the commitment made by the government of India. And I know that many of the industries like Tata's and JSW, AMNS, they have their internal, you can say, targets for the, you can say, net zero emissions. Someone has to by 2050, someone by some other year. So I just want to know from all of you, I have few questions. I will just, you can say, share the questions to all of you, and you can give your views on that. First question is what sustainability means in your company. That is the main, how you are going to, you can say, define it and how you are going to achieve it. How are you going to implement it? Whatever the target you have set for your organization, how you are going to set for it. And what works well for your plant, and how would you like to share that, you can say, technology or the knowledge with the other partners? So because ultimately it is the, you can say, commitment of the country. We have to learn from each other, and if we share the know-how, then we can definitely reduce. And by, you can say, sharing the knowledge, I think we can be more, you can say, competitive. We can learn from each other also. Then what are the pitfalls that you want to warn others about it, whatever you learned? If you want to share with that, some, you can say, some experiment is being done by you, or some R&D has been done by you. What is your learning about that? And if somebody is, you can say, planning to that, go for the R&D, they can learn, and they can also. And any other aspect which is not being covered by me, which is relevant to the theme, kindly speak on that. So I'll request first Mr. Arvind Bodhankar from AMNS to share their views.
Thank you, Paramji. And once again, thank you all of you. The question which you asked about what is sustainability means for my industry. And you know, I have been driving sustainability for more than 20 years now, the first word coined. While earlier I used to talk about that classical Brundtland's definition, you know, meeting today's needs without compromising with the ability of future generations to meet their need. But today, that definition doesn't hold really true in today's context. Today, what we talk about sustainability is all about value creation for our stakeholders. Sustainability is nothing but ability to sustain for the organization, and my job is to make sure that how I build the capability within the organization to remain sustainable. For that, what we have done is we have identified our material issues, gaps which are there, which could stop our business, and those are mapped to various stakeholders, and we have developed strategies to work on those. We have developed strategies to create value for our stakeholders. Now, in the steel industry context, while there could be some activities under environment, some activities could be under social side, and some activity could be under the governance side. And while social and environmental I directly drive, whereas governance is something which is required to be at the board level, policies and all, which are there in place, and then the audits and checks and balances are being done. So I won't talk much about that at this point of time. Now, under environment, how do we create value? Steel plants per se, all of you know, are known to be highly polluting plants. Earlier, when carbon was not there, we were driving the particulate matters which are coming out, and the earlier gentleman spoke about dry GCP, wet GCP, and I know I had a closure notice also because of the fugitive emissions which are coming over there. So whatever could stop our business from the environment side, we are working on that. We are creating a value for our stakeholders. So earlier it was more of a social value creation. Now it is more to comply with regulation and avoid monetary this thing also. So under environment, obviously, one is your carbon decarbonization, and the other one is water, hazardous waste, and circularity. To produce 1 ton of steel, you require almost 3.5 tons of raw material. The number may vary from whichever route you produce. But you get a value from 1 ton of steel, and that 2.5 ton is of waste. We may call it as a byproduct, but what value it generates is around 200, 300. While I am buying a iron ore at 8,000 rupees a premium, and then I'm selling this thing at 200, it's not really a value creation. So two objectives in my company: one is decarbonization, second one is circular economy. Decarbonization we can discuss at length. You know, if you see CO2 emission, 80% can be attributed to fuel, 10% can be to the power which is required, and 10% to the embedded CO2 which is there. So 80% the energy transition, what we are talking about, there are two aspects again under energy transition. How can we replace the coal? So transition fuel, we have natural gas, and later on we will have hydrogen also coming in. Another, this thing is on the biochar we are working. How can we have biochar? Some of these things already we have moved on. Green hydrogen, some pilots we have already started. I don't call it as a green hydrogen because my 70% of energy is only green, while 30% is still a gray energy which I am using. But we have the capability to produce, you know, as the moment hydrogen prices come down below $2, we will be easily transitioning to green hydrogen. And on the circularity side, how can we create a value out of this? We have identified almost 41, 42 streams, and we call it as a byproduct rail from coal. Almost 70% of that is recycled back into the system, and which everybody does, and it's not only my plant does it. And the balance 30% is sold out and create a value out of it. So various applications we have developed for that and creating a value. It's nothing is almost negligible landfill we are using. So that's how we are driving sustainability. And we can go on talking about it, but I would like to take a pause and maybe let other speakers talk about it.
Thank you, Arvind. I think what you have mentioned that basically you are working on the capacity building and the material recirculation, decarbonization, hydrogen, use of hydrogen. Now I'll request Prabodaya from JSW to kindly share their views on the questions what I have addressed.
First of all, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Macon, for inviting me to be part of this August panel. Thank you for that question. In fact, your question, what is sustainability, is a $1 million question. For last 33 years, I am also struggling to find what is the meaning. I'm sure if you ask this question to all of you, you all will have different answer in your mind what sustainability is. So when somebody asks me what is sustainability, and next question is how we are driving in JSW, let me answer in 2 pages. I remind a story that parable of 6 blind men trying to understand how an elephant looks like. I'm sure you all have heard this story. I don't want to repeat this story. And sustainability has been exactly like that. Everybody has their perception of how sustainability looks like. And every organization, so I am in this field for more than 35 years now, I've worked in multiple organizations and they also have a different perception. In each organization, different functions have different understanding of sustainability. And therefore, it is very essential as an organization, as a group, JSW as a group, we must have our own definition what sustainability is. At least we all understand in the same language. For us, sustainability is doing responsible business, right? And we have given a very specific commitment. We have a vision statement that defines what sustainability is for us. We'll run the business with 3 responsibility. Environmentally responsible way, ethically responsible way, and socially responsible way. We do not talk about financially responsible way because it is given. If you do not create the value for the organization, you will not exist. For us, sustainability is being existing with a responsible business and flourish. In the same time, we have given another commitment. Of course, this is, he talked about Brundtland's report. We have inspired by that. We must drive the business in a manner that we give enough resources for our next generation to meet their need. We do not know their need. Honestly, if you ask me what generation, next generation need will be, nobody can guess. But we are assuming at least the current human rights will be applicable for the future generation. Therefore, we must uphold that. The third thing to demonstrate is that we should be able to demonstrate progress. So in a nutshell, it is a responsible business practices. So that is what sustainability means for us. That's the first answer to first part of your question. The second part, then how do you drive that inside our organizations? We have a clear-cut framework, and we developed a framework. What is essentially when you run your business, you look at your finances, you look at your quality, you look at your customer needs, right? You look at your community needs. This is stated, and you run the business according to that. But we normally do not look at what are the external factors which is changing outside our business that can really impact to our business. And one of such cases we much talked about in steel industry is decarbonization, climate change. It's something happening everywhere and it can really impact to your business performances. So this is called a process in our technical terms called materiality analysis. That means a business has to do an analysis to find what are the changes happening internally and externally that can impact your business going ahead. We did an extensive materiality analysis and identified 17 areas that can really impact our business. So we call those focus areas. And number 1 is climate change. Number 1, so we believe if we address the 17 areas, we'll have a good EBITDA, we'll have a good customer satisfaction, we'll have a good community relations, we will have a good growth, and we'll grow. We know that. And that is why we have identified 17 focus areas and given policy commitment against each areas. For example, when we talk about climate change, I have a detailed policy on climate change, what we intend to do. And please note, policy is an agreement between the organization and the stakeholder. So we have clearly stated that agreement publicly. For 17 areas, clear commitment. How do you achieve public commitment? We have a framework. We have 8 elements that we are driving, including leadership and management change. And then we have management standard, a technical standard that we implement and then monitor regularly. This is how we drive sustainability across the organizations. So sum up that, if I have to sum up what sustainability means for me, we are a steel maker in JSW Steel. And sustainability means in one word that if for any reason all the steel production closes down across the world, we should be the last one. That means we must be doing everything right to continue the operations. So that's to address your second question. With specific respect to decarbonizations, because that is your another intent, I'll quickly tell, we have given a specific commitment what we want to achieve by 2030. That's our short-term objective. That's we want to reduce our emission intensity by 42% by 2030, base year in 2005, aligned with India's NDC. And we are clearly aligning with our national goals. And our objective is to support the nation's economic growth and well-being. And that is where we are aligned on the short-term goal. Long-term goal, I would say net zero is more an aspiration rather than a target. Our aspiration to achieve net zero by 2050, actually we don't use the word net zero. We call net neutrality in carbon emissions. These are technical terms, but don't go with that. So ultimately, basically we want to achieve a state whereby emission and removals balances out in 2050. That's my aspiration, again I'll tell. We have clearly documented our strategy in a climate action report. It's publicly available, you can go through. We are working with all the technology suppliers, all the regulators like Paramjit ji, all the consultants like Mekan. So we are open to learn from everybody. And we will remain open so that we all grow together. Let me stop there. And I'll answer your any specific question on technology later. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhupada. I think you have addressed the questions very well, and you talked about the 17 identified areas. We would like to understand that later, basically what exactly the 17 identified areas, if you can say others can also take a lead out of that to work in that areas, and if some areas, more areas are becomes defined by the others, they can share the inputs on that, and industry together can work towards the sustainability. That would be the name. So now my next question is to Mr. Kundu from the Tata Steel to share their views on the questions what I have shared with them.
Hello. So sorry about this. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mekon, for inviting me in this particular seminar and in this particular panel. So very difficult question, as Prabhupada has explained, what is sustainability. So I'll give you an answer which I actually draw from the history. So more than 125 years ago, J.N. Tata, our founder, said that in a free enterprise, the society is not only a stakeholder, but it is the very purpose of our existence. And that is what is, I think, is the pillar of our sustainability, and that is the motto we still go on with. So if you theoretically see, sustainability has three pillars. One is environment, other is society, and the third is economics. And for us, the middle pillar, which is the biggest society or societal aspect of a business, is still driving us. Having said that, we really believe that unless a company work and live for the society around it, it will not sustain. How we drive it and how it is still going on today is, if I have to go there, then I have to go to the targets and processes. So about 5 to 6 years back, what we did is, in the group level, Tata group level, we have set the target for a wider aspect of sustainability. So there is, of course, emission, and we have clear target for emission of our Indian and overseas operations. We have, of course, declared net zero by 2045, and there is defined target by 2030. The circularity is another target that we have, and the circularity target is about no waste to the landfill. and we have target about reducing the freshwater consumption to 0 by 2030 and be positive after that. The third aspect is something which I particularly want to mention because we are also in Jharkhand, is about the biodiversity. So we have a target on biodiversity, and because the operations of steel plant in many ways affect the biodiversity, the mining operations and the plant itself. So we have a target of biodiversity which talks about becoming the leader in NBS projects, which is nature-based solution projects. So we'll explain a little bit about those as well and what we are doing there. Now, how do we execute it? Okay. So, of course, the policies which Mr. Acharya was mentioning is very important, and we have public policies on most of these aspects that we just discussed. But we also have a way of working towards it following the SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals, which are set up by UN. So there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which is, I think, different from what you have said, but slightly different from what you have said. But 15 of those we follow in a manner that to achieve the targets that we have. If I may call that there are challenges, as you know, that in steel industry we face challenges because of the fact that we inherently an industry which is polluting the atmosphere, which probably is somewhat creating the problems in the biodiversity, and as a result, our not only the target, but also how do we talk about those achievements in the public is important. So what Tata Steel has been so far has been very transparent in declaring exactly what is our performances in terms of the three pillars that we are talking about: the carbon, biodiversity, and also the circularity. So most of our sites, I mean the sites where we produce steel or sites where we actually do the mining operations are undercover. So those are published in our IR, and BRSR of course has now come. So I think it is an important aspect for all industries which are in this area of high risk to publish their numbers, and which I think Tata Steel has been doing very well for last 20-25 years. The one thing that I would also like to mention here, because carbon is a question that has been asked, and there is a bit of an issue there, because carbon reduction or CO2 reduction is something where we require the technologies, okay, and we need to take a risk. So we talked about, we heard in the previous session that Tata Steel has a pact with SMS on some kind of a different type of a blast furnace. Of course, we'll see how it goes. It's a very ambitious project. Having said that, the problem that I want to mention here is slightly of different type. It is not about any technology, but exactly how you define the boundary in which you are calculating your carbon. So often a technology looks extremely lucrative when you narrow down your boundary. Let us say you are talking about a blast furnace and you say that we do 1, 2, 3 things, and the reduction has happened. Whether that reduction has also happened if you expand your boundary to the level of the whole company. Let us say that something you are doing there in the blast furnace, whether it is polluting something outside of that boundary, is very important. So how do we define boundaries in calculating the emissions are going to be important, and we have to take a little bit of I would say that we have to take a pause and then take calls about choosing technologies. That is what is our learning, because I think Paramjit boss bole the what about the learnings and what we want to take guard from. I think that is going to be very important, that before choosing a technology, we need to be very clear what is the boundary in which it is reducing the CO2 emission. The other thing that I'll mention, and it is probably, I mention it everywhere where I go, India has to come up with its own solution. It just cannot follow Europe. Okay, if it follows Europe, if Europe is having hydrogen, we cannot say that we are only going to have hydrogen. If they are going to do something, we need to actually look at from our perspective and then take calls. So we'll discuss further as the discussion goes on, and I'll pass it on to the next. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kundu. I think you have done the justice of the questions. Now I'll request Pratik Ghosh from Jindal Steel Group to address the questions, please.
No, thank you, Mr. Singh, and namaskar and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is such a pleasure to be a part of this illustrious panelists. I ensured that all of these people who are sitting on the stage, it's very humbling because they are my senior colleagues. And let me also tell you that I have joined Jindal Steel 10 months ago. So while I have been doing sustainability for the last 25 years, but steel is a new sector for me. And my perspective will certainly come from the fact that how does sustainability relate to this hard to abate sector, or what Prabodha pretty much talks about, it is a priority to abate sector. So I have been learning, I have been hearing all these people, but let me just go back to the question that has come to us. How do you define sustainability? At the same time, please understand that everybody is putting that word sustainability and ESG in every CV, in every conference, in every discussion, which means that this is a mainstream topic. And that is why it is helpful for us to define sustainability by putting a hyphen between the word sustain and ability. So as Arvind Bodhankar ji said, it is our ability to sustain. Pretty much Prabodha also mentioned that, and of course Mr. Kundu talked about the whole aspect of stakeholder expectation management. We are an organization or a sector which is not in this whole world alone. No. It is not about managing shareholder expectation, but we are operating in a field where stakeholders are looking at us. In corporate parlance, there used to be something called TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. We always said weekend is coming. But for a sustainability practitioner, TGIF pretty much talks about the fact that anytime any stakeholder can come to you through Twitter, Google, Instagram, and Facebook. That is TGIF. So what I am trying to tell you is that we live in an age of instant communication, and our ability to sustain every day is very important because we are answerable. Currency with which your ability to sustain is getting transacted. It is a framework. That is what the other two, all the three panelists were talking about when we were doing materiality analysis. And Prabodha ji was talking about double materiality. As a sector, as an organization, we have to understand that there is an inside out and outside in perspective. Everybody is watching us, the regulator, the consumer, the supplier, the employee, the civil society organization, and hence it is very important for us to look at a holistic view of how we are going to have our ability to sustain going forward. So in Jindal Steel, and it has been 10 months, and I am very proud to represent this company because it not only builds or makes steel that is building the country, but we know we are doing it the right way, and it is responsible, inclusive, sustainable, and ethical. We call it RISE. And let me also tell you, RISE is our sustainability operating framework. Responsible governance, which needs to understand and hear what stakeholders are expecting from us. Strategic stakeholder engagement is very important. And hence, You know, when I look at inclusive growth, community empowerment, where we live is so important. When we look at sustainable environment, we are not only going to talk about decarbonization, which is climate change mitigation, but adaptation. We will look at the vulnerability assessment of physical assets that we have, because we have huge amount of extreme weather conditions that our plants are pretty much facing today. So, in a way, without taking any more time, I wanted to talk about the fact that sustainability has to be looked at holistically. And when I joined the organization, I have embarked in a very structured journey, which I am calling as Project ESG-2025. And here I am focusing on 5 R's. And very quickly, in the next 10 seconds, I will finish my first intervention to talk about these 5 R's. The first R is, I am looking at our ratings. And I'm not boiling the ocean. I'm looking at how investors are taking decisions when it comes to giving access to capital. How are we faring at Dow Jones Sustainability Index or Carbon Disclosure Project? How is Morgan and Stanley Capital, MSCI rating is looking at us? Because these are the ratings that investor community, which is another stakeholder, which is looking at. And when you look at their rating questionnaires, it will help us to do a proper road mapping for every topic under E, S, and G. And we have to look at holistically, we have to look at biodiversity, which Mr. Kundu was mentioning, water resilience, circularity, product stewardship. Under environment, under social, we have to focus on the fact that how many people are dying in our organization? What are the causal factors? And also occupational health, which are chronic. That is also coming under sustainability. We can focus on the right kind of reporting so that the stakeholders are able to understand. We as listed entities come out with the BRSR, which is compliance. But if I have Peter or a leader, I also need to focus on my sustainability report. I also have to have a good integrated report so that there is integrated thinking with the CFO. And in the end, we will decide how are we going to get awarded or rewards. That is what our promoters want. And in the end, this whole process is about reinventing our organization. So with this 5 R's, this is what sustainability is all about, holistic, and we need to make it happen. And steel as a sector, we are one of the most responsible sectors, because we are a part of the Viksit Bharat. But we are also the one organization which is going to take us forward, so that at any given point, there should not be a scenario where steel needs to go away. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. I think your enthusiasm is speaking that how Jindal Group is, you can say, committed about the sustainability, and you have given the new edge also that how we have to take care of the safety when we are talking about the sustainability. Though time is very less, we have the constraint of time, but the topic is very interesting. We can talk throughout the day, and we can learn from all these 4, you can say, sustainability officer from the integrated steel plants. But I think one question which is not been addressed by all the panelists, that is, what is their, you can say, learning from the R&D or anything, what you have they done in the past, like Tata has done R&D in the CCUS, and EMNS is working the hydrogen, in GSW also working on hydrogen. So what exactly you want to give the message about what you have learned, and you want to warn others if they want to take a lead in that? Quickly, if you can just give one minute, you can speak on that, and then later we can ask the, you can say, questions from the house if they have any.
So one specific technology we have been trying as ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel, or ArcelorMittal I would say, which is hydrogen injection in the DRI shaft. Perhaps we are the largest gas-based DRI producer in India, and also worldwide we have a lot of DRI plants. So what we did in our plants is we injected hydrogen into the shaft. We are confident that we can run this shaft without any major modification for 30% of the hydrogen. And that can go, you all know that, the syngas we use already have 57% hydrogen. I wouldn't call it at 30% in addition to that, but 30% injection we can do without major modification. That has been established, and we are very confident that tomorrow when the hydrogen is economically viable, we can run all our modules on shafts on 100% hydrogens.
Thank you. Saurabh, I'm really very happy that you told that we need to develop our technology in India. I'm in for it. And thank you, Tata Steel, saying that. We must, because production is going to happen in India only, consumption is going to grow, and we must develop our own technologies. And that is where I'm happy to announce that the largest operating green hydrogen plant along with application in steel is just inaugurated last month in September. We are running that. We have established a 25 megawatt green hydrogen plant that is consistently supplying for the DRI making. That means possibly we can take a lead in hydrogen application and steel making along with, MNS experience. That is one, but another aspect I think Arvind, I was expecting he will say, he didn't say, I want to tell that. Whatever we do, steel industry has to coexist with multiple technologies. And I sincerely believe blast furnace is going to be there, it is not going to go anywhere, right? But there will be multiple of technology, and there will be the blast furnace that we see now, or 30 years before what we were seeing is not today. And what we are going to see the blast furnace tomorrow is also going to be different. So therefore, a lot of things has to happen. But at the end, there will be use of carbon and there will be carbon emissions, because steel is called carbon steel. So without carbon, you can't make the steel. So what you will do with that carbon if you do not work on technology such as carbon capture, utilization and storage. So carbon capture storage is something which is future, and we need to invest, and we are investing. We are operating a 100 ton per day carbon capture plant. We are putting a 300 ton per day along with the collaborations with BHP and Carbon Clean together. We are doing the pre-feasibility study at the moment, and hopefully in another 2 years you will see the largest carbon capture operation in the steel plant. But interestingly, if you see, I will give an example of collaborations, how industries have come together in India and Southeast Asia, where ArcelorMittal and JSW Steel is also a partner. JSPL is considering to join. We call it consortium. The consortium has come with 8-9 partners from Australia, from South Korea, from Japan, from India. So we are studying different hubs to establish how this CO2 can be transported and stored. And I believe this is a unique job that industry is leading. I know government is also coming, government of India is coming with a carbon capture utilization mission. I pretty much foresee that industry has taken here a lead of a collaborations, because this problem has to be sorted out by a collaborations of industry, regulator and research and consulting organization together. And this is, I think, an excellent example. We have just started a couple of months before, right? And many people are starting joining. So I'll urge any of the operators here who are large emitter of CO2, please join the consortium. Let us lead the way. Let us not be follower. I just take the cue from Saurabh, and I want to end there. So we need to really take the lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Now I'll request Dr. Kundu that you people have done, you can say, work on the CCUS as well as you have used the hydrogen in the blast furnace. So I would like to share some, you can say, learnings out of that, if somebody wants to take the lead out of from that and want to work on in that area.
Sure. So first of all, congratulations to JSW. That's a beautiful project, actually, 25 megawatts of hydrogen and pushing it into the DRI. It is something that is the future, of course. And often, in Europe, there are consortiums where the industry and the government bodies come together and do work together to develop new technologies, which is still not the case in India. But I think there are some leads and we can always follow those leads. So I'll just mention, because hydrogen is a topic of interest, and you know, 5 of us sitting here, including our moderator here today, so we can probably bore you people for the whole day. CO2, okay, that is very clear to all of us. And it can be used in 3 ways. One, you can actually inject it in a blast furnace. You can actually make certain alcohol, I mean capture CO2 and then make something hydrocarbon, that is CCUS. And the third one is, of course, that, you know, you directly use hydrogen in the DRI, replacing completely natural gas. If you see these 3 uses, and if you compare these 3 technologies, in terms of how much hydrogen is required to reduce 1 ton of CO2, you will see that maximum hydrogen is required for injecting it in blast furnace. You will still require quite a lot of hydrogen in CCUS, and you would require least amount of hydrogen to be used in DRI. So I think there's a direction that we can take from here, that if there is hydrogen available, and hydrogen is very costly even today, $2 and below is the cost that we all want, but it is much higher than that now. So when the hydrogen clue from here. Having said that, and what I was telling earlier, that our hands are tied, steel plants' hands are tied in many ways, because we cannot get rid of our blast furnaces, so CCUS or CCU will be required in the future. So then we have to make sure that how the CCU cost or CCUS cost can be reduced drastically. And that means that, you know, we need to adopt ways of making steel or iron I must say, using coal, but that gives a purer CO2. So that is why Tata Steel is investing. We have a technology called Hyzerner, which we are piloting today, which actually talks about using very low quality coal, very low quality ore, and also it gives hot metal as an output, just like blast furnaces. And the CO2 that it emits, it has got 80% or more concentration. So capturing that CO2 and storing it or converting it into some kind of a product is easier. So this is the value chain, and this is how in the future it has to go. So it doesn't really start and end with hydrogen, but it has to be. We have to make sure that exactly where that hydrogen will go are going to go. The other thing, the last thing that I would like to say, that we in India we have to be very, very probably be careful and invest in carbon capture and sequestration. CCU will always have some problem or the other. It is not going to be, although it is a good thing to do, but it is going to have a problem, because then the steel companies will have to be also chemical companies. Our marketing and sales has to sell alcohol like they are selling steel. So the value chain is very different. Okay. So CCS, which is also going to happen in Japan and to some extent happening already in Europe, that is something that we have to try here in India. Of course, it is not going to be easy, because the storage, the geological storage are not available as much as we want in India. But there are processes. In fact, NTPC has done a great job in Jharkhand only. They have used a coal mine to store CO2 few days, few months, few weeks back. So we have to also think in this direction, because the cost will come in our way. And we have to be very careful that we do CO2 emission reduction, but not by, you know, increasing the cost in a manner that we will not be able to withstand that. That's all from my side. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kundu. Thank you so much. Pratik, I have one specific question to you.
Okay.
I know that all of you people are working on the waste product utilization. And waste utilization is also going to play a major role in the sustainability.
Absolutely.
So I would like to hear from you that what exactly Jindal Steel Group is working, and if you want to share some of experience, others can learn from out of it.
Yeah. While, you know, at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is to certainly, we are piloting what matters. We are productizing that works and power it with clean electrons. So when it comes to slags, that are coming, we are certainly using it in road making. That is one area with, there is an organization called CRRI, which is under the aegis of the CSIR. With them, that element has certainly been a very good exercise. And of course, we are also giving it to cement plants, because alternative fuel, AFR, is something which is an immediate opportunity for us. That is another aspect that we are certainly trying to look at. As in Angul, we have also created for the first time carbon capture utilization valleys. And we have created these bids, and there have been new startups which are coming into Angul, and they are ready to create all these chemicals so that we can certainly convert these carbon into ethanol, methanol, and other uses. So these are some of the immediate aspects that come into my mind. Thank you.
Thank you. I think panelists have done justice to all the questions, and we can have one or two questions if you can say organizers allow us one or two questions from the audience, please.
Thank you. My question is for Sri Saurabh Kundu. It's on water resilience. How Tata Steel is planning to achieve net zero and then net positive on water?
So, reduction of use of fresh water is something that is continuous. I think that is happening all across the industry. What we are doing for, you can understand, we cannot run steel company without using water. So some water will always come into the system. The idea is to replenish it. Okay, and we are actually taking up a big initiative in replenishment of water, fresh water. So what we are doing for this is that water basin study. So we have done that for Subunrekha few years back. We have just done that from the Brahmani in Odisha, because that is what is coming to our plant area actually. And with another consultant of ours, we are coming down to the ground and exactly calculating and trying to understand where we should intervene to maximize the replenishment. So that is what is going to be our effort for next 5 to 10 years, to make sure that the replenishment happens to an amount which compensate for the whatever water we use in our different operations. And this is going to continue, because you can understand that there has to be etiquettes, there has to be small dams, etc., which has to be built. We are having a blueprint for that. We are working Tata Steel along with Tata Steel Foundation, as you can understand, because it's an intervention which is in the societal level that we need to make, and hopefully that will be a success. But it's a very large investment, so we are going to do it in phases.
Yeah, please.
Saurabhji, I'm just taking an appeal to all of you, because Saurabhji gave explanation, but I have expectations. We are sitting in, I would call, one of the best steel engineering consulting organization in the India, and obviously one of the world. So best brains are here in the Mekong. You are working with steel sector for long. You know water is one of the key raw material which often neglected, and everybody have our commitment to reduce it. Water is primarily used in steel sector for two purposes, either cooling or cleaning. We have no problem in cleaning because we are 100% recycling them, taking out suspended solids. But when we are cooling, we have to blow down the high TDS water, and we don't find finer application for that. It is often used for low-end uses like dust suppression, plantations, all those kind of raw applications.
Yeah, very important.
So
very important.
my request, I have been giving this problem all over the world, so I think this is the place which will give me a solution. what we will do with that water. If you can please work on that, and please note, your solution should be the cost of treatment less than or equal to cost of raw water. Don't give me a solution which is higher than the raw water cost. So you need to give us a solutions. The treatment costs should be less than or equal to the cost of raw water. This is my appeal to all of you. We will be open, the entire sector will be open to work with you. Thank you.
I think Tata Steel proposal is a step ahead. They are targeting water as a resource, not as a commodity.
Thank you. I think we can take the last question.
Yes, sir.
Karamveer has a question. Other questions, you can directly talk to the panelists when you're going to have a tea. No
Sure.
problem. Then one question is there, I think, from the gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, and sorry for asking a question which is not related directly to steel making or whatever sustainability efforts everybody of you, whatever you've explained. You can say that as a responsible citizen of the country, you may all be aware that India has been, the government of India has come up with a very large scale development of thermal energy, and as a matter of fact, till 2030, 80 gigawatts of thermal energy power plants, mega power plants are coming in the country. One 600 megawatt power plant requires almost 50,000 tons of steel in various forms. For me, our interest is tubular, but for us, as a product, 50,000 metric tons of steel is required for 1 megawatt of power plant. So indirectly, sustainability as is important in steel making or in the process of steel, the amount of CO2, everything what we have been discussing. Are there any norms similar way for thermal power plants which talks about sustainability in terms of emissions? Because indirectly, directly, everybody is affecting. We all will be happy to bring down by all efforts or whatever R&D is being done in sustainability in context of steel making. But then it is going to result into some or major carbon emission while creating thermal power plants or producing energy. So how it is going to be in correlation, in tandem for all of us or the complete country as such in terms of this, you can say, proposed massive expansions that are happening in the thermal plant. Anybody sitting there or in the room, if they can just talk about this, something about this, or share something, it is going to be.
I think you have brought a very valid question. It's all about energy security and energy transition, how we can work together. And we all know India cannot ditch thermal coal so easily. It is going to take time. Of course, we have a picking year yet to come. And that is the reason why we are building mega scale thermal power plants to meet the growing energy need of the country till we have a dependable alternative low carbon solutions in the energy sector. We hope fusion technology is going to help us and a lot of work is being done. Nuclear is going to take a big step. I think Government of India is taking a lot of initiative towards that. Renewable is picking up, but the base load is still we will depend on coal, and that is why we are growing. What we need to do, we need to be more efficient. And it's true for steel sector, it is true for thermal sector. But where we can work in tandem, work together, because power is an input for us and steel is an input for thermal sector. That is the reason, in fact, I was asking Paramjit ji, just I assume he is representing Ministry of Steel, I know he is not. When he can mandate low emission steel, see, fantastic work Government of India has done by defining what green steel is. I think no country in the world has defined, so we have defined. So next is changing the behavior of the consumer, including which is going to thermal power plant, that how they can really use those low emission steel. So for that, mandate is the right starting point. And I think Hers presented 27% green steel mandate is being drafted. I'm just asking when it will come. If that will come, that will push us to supply. I can tell you, all these people who are sitting here, we are ready to give what customer wants. You need zero emission steel, we will be ready to give that, right? But you ask it, please note, everything has a cost, right? So this is what I can tell you, that if you are from thermal sector, I didn't get an introduction, then we are ready to supply you. If you are from steel sector, you know that steel sector is capable of providing whatever customer need. But please note, everything has a cost, society has to bear or the customer has to bear it.
Just to mention one last point, I think even in the thermal power plants, there is a mandate which has come. I'm not sure, 5 to 10% biomass for biocharios?
Yeah, it's a mandate to use the biomass.
Yeah, so that is, to some extent to take care of the pollution. So 5 to 10% of the biomass is needed to be used in place of thermal coal. So that is already there.
Thank you very much. I think now we can take the question later. And I just request all of you that the panelists have given, as you can say, they have replied the questions very well. Let's have a huge round of applause for them. And with this, we end this session and over to the organizers, please.